It has been a minute. I've been pretty busy lately, starting my new job. Um, so I haven't had a lot of time to play video games or do anything. And I'm like, okay, well, I have a few days off this week. Let me hop on Old Reliable. So I hop on Borderlands 2 and I see Borderlands 4, the little thing on the bottom to promote it. I know the movie, they did the same thing. And I watched the movie and it was a real big disappointment, making me even less in love with the franchise. Almost like it really tainted my it left a bad taste in my mouth thinking about Borderlands. None of the characters, the actors fit at all. It felt more like a Minecraft texture pack over something else where it's still Minecraft, you're still fighting zombies but they look like psychos. That's how that movie felt to me. The humor, the story wasn't there, and that's also kind of how I felt about 3. Borderlands 3, I don't like that game. I I'll play it, kind of like Jolt's dude and other people. They'll play it because it's like the newest Borderlands game, and they have to because it's their job and their livelihood. But I definitely agree with Jolt's dude's video from a month ago. Should we be concerned about Borderlands? He had some complaints on there, and I'm like, you're right. His whole thing with the anointed stuff, I hated the anointed stuff. It's like, oh, here's a skill that's basically gives you this guy's ability. And I know you can complain like, oh, well, it's build diversity, but it kind of took over the whole reason like, oh, I'm gonna pick this guy because he has this skill. Oh no, I'll just get an anointed on my weapon and then I'll get that from him. You know, there was a whole reloading thing that you got with Moe's. I believe it was Moe's, and you could have that on Zane and other things if you did this right thing. If you went Zane, you would just shoot the air or shoot the floor to get this power boost from an anointed thing, and it totally changed the game. And I'm like, you're taking away from the cool characters. Like when I was playing Borderlands 1 or 2, I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna pick, I don't know, Zero. He's got the whole boar thing. That's a really cool ability. I want to build into that. Now it's like, oh, well, here's the top anointed skills you want. Here's the meta weapons. Now go do the exact same build on, all 4 characters so you can be meta. And I'm like, well, that's not Borderlands. I know the enchantments for Wonderlands made it not as crazy, like they toned it down, but I don't like it at all, and I'm hoping that rainbow thing, just like Jolt's dude said, isn't like an anointed or an enchant or something. I'm hoping that that's kind of like a rarer, like a different rarity instead. We had legendaries, we have common, we have uncommon, we have those. And then we had you know, there was common, uncommon, rare, epic, legendary, and then pearlescence. And pearlescence were cool, but they still weren't as good as some of the legendaries. The pearlescence were rarer or harder to get, but they weren't as good. And there was also serifs. There was these other different things, and you're like, okay, these are really cool to get, but they're not like, oh, I'm gonna have a full set of pearlescence because they're all meta. No, you could use some blues even. You could use some legendaries, you can use some pearlescence. You can diversify your stuff with the weapons, and that's what I like. I like the different weapons and stuff, and those building into the character. You get the grog nozzle, or you get a low level rocket launcher and stuff with Salvador to rocket jump and do that. You build into that. You get the grog nozzle and pair with something else. You have a slag weapon to apply slag. You do that as your thing to get a power boost. Not, oh, anointed, this weapon when it hits somebody you get your guns are automatically reloaded. No, I'd rather have my ability on Salvador be a reload thing or a chance not to use ammo. And that's why I'd pick him. I really disliked the whole anointed aspect of Borderlands 3. The guns felt kind of boring. The sound design was very good for the guns. I can say that. The story for Borderlands 3 was atrocious. The main villains, the Calypso twins, I believe that was their name. I could be wrong 'cause I think Calypso's like a T, but that might just be like a popular word. They just were really boring. Those no characters from Borderlands 3 that I liked, really. The Vosh, no, Vosh is the political guy, right? Or something. I think it's Vaughn, the like nerdy guy. It was kind of funny to see him being like the leader of some bandit group, but that died off on me very, very soon. I was just really annoyed with him. Like 2 minutes into talking to him, I really didn't care about any of the story. I didn't like the swamp area. It's so much of it was just unenjoyable. The movement was cool. I didn't mind the modernization with the movement, but I just would rather play Borderlands 2 the whole time I was playing Borderlands 3. It was cool, something new, but it was a flop. I don't know why it's not treated like the pre-sequel, where it's just like, oh yeah, this is just bad, because I think it is bad. Borderlands 1 and 2 were pretty good. The rest of the games, I just don't I can't play them. I've beaten them on like multiple characters just to really give them a shot and see if it's just me. And like maybe I didn't like that character and that's what it was. But no, I just didn't like the game. And then the movie came out and the movie was atrocious. And now with the trailer coming out for 4, the the Guardians, or not the Guardians, the Vault Hunters. I'm already mixing up my verbiage. That's how much I'm like not caring about Borderlands right now. Um, the Vault Hunters look lame. When I got Borderlands 2, I was sitting and staring at the screen like, dude, these guys all look so cool. I can play as like a ninja. I can play as this guy. That guy's cool. When I first played Borderlands, I played Roland, and I'm like, oh, Axton looks like Roland. Like he's got the turret and stuff. Maybe they're friends. It had me thinking like story things, like little me on my Xbox, just staring at the screen. And I'm like, wow, this is a hard decision. It's harder than picking like a Pokemon starter, you know? And I sat there and I really think about it. And now I'm looking at these guys, I'm like, oh, they all look lame. I guess I'll just wait for somebody to like play the game and be like, oh, this guy's good, this guy's good. This one does this one does this. And then I'll just like pick, oh, well, that one seems like it's good and it looks cool. So I guess I'll pick that guy. Instead of being like, oh, his abilities don't seem cool, but I want to be this big muscly man. Me referring to Brick. I'm gonna choose him. He seems cool. But I'm not seeing that with this new game. And the weapons, they look all right, I guess. I'm very afraid for that rainbow thing. I'm hoping it's not anointed or enchants because I just despise those. I'm really not hopeful. I don't have any. I'm not crossing my fingers or anything. I just assume the story is gonna be terrible because 3 was terrible and the Borderlands movie was terrible. The humor wasn't there. It really feels like Rick and Morty almost, where they're like, "Oh, hey, we're mainstream now. We're doing really good. I think this is why people like us. Let's put all of our effort into that and fail at it." Like they try to do too much humor. I feel like with 3 and it just didn't land at all. Borderlands 1 had a more serious story with humor sprinkled in between. And Borderlands 2 was the same way, where the story kind of was like, oh, this guy's doing this, we have to stop him, this. But then you had those cool side quests like Handsome Jack paying you to kill yourself. Like, hey, I'll give you a bunch of money if you just kill yourself, and you just run and jump in the lava. He's like, oh, I can't believe you did it. Or like he sends you to like check on his sick grandma, and then you fight a bunch of bandits, and he's like, "Oh, good. I guess I don't have to pay them now to kill my grandma." You know, it was a bunch of things like that that were like funny in between, while you're still like, "Oh, we need to stop this guy." He's one of my favorite villains, up there with like maybe Venom. I think Venom's probably my favorite villain. I think he's a very well crafted character. He's sort of like Thanos in a way where like Thanos isn't wrong. Like the world would be a lot better of a place. We'd have a lot more resources and stuff if we got rid of a lot of people, but that's not a like human and like a correct thing to do. You might have like the right intentions, or like the right end goal, but that's you just can't do that. That's wrong. And it's like a whole morality thing, and I think that's what makes a good villain. Because you can definitely side with Handsome Jack a little bit and be like, okay, well, he's talking about like something like him creating his perfect world is definitely going to result in like a genocide of killing a lot of people. But how many people did we personally kill to get to him? You know how many times I've killed the same boss over and over, how many hours I've spent to get like my double penetrating uncapped herald and try to get like the right weapon parts on it because I was that like into the game where I'm like, oh well it's got like a Jacob's barrel or something, you know, like I had a whole little list on like my phone being like, oh well this one makes reload speed better. This is just me spending that much time to get like an actually like 100% perfect uncapped herald because I play the game so much. I'm like, max leveled out. Let me like do something silly and waste a bunch of time doing this. And of course I got it. It's on like my save on my Xbox sitting there like collecting dust. And I'm very proud of that. But I didn't have that in Borderlands 3 like thinking about it. I remember in Borderlands 2 I got a cool blue shotgun when I was first playing and it it wasn't a good gun, but it was better than a lot of the other ones, and I used it for a lot of levels, and I'm like, "Wow, this gun's like my favorite gun." Which was like kind of silly because it's just a blue shotgun, and I got my first legendary, and I'm like, "Whoa, this gun's really good. This is carrying me through like so many levels, and like I beat the first like playthrough, like the normal mode because I had that gun." And I still really cared about my blue shotgun, so I kept that gun's still sitting in my stash. It's still there. Like I'm still I can go back and look at it right now on my Xbox if I really wanted to. Of course, I'm on PC now, so I don't have the footage for that. But like that gun still mattered to me. Playing Borderlands 3, I was tossing out old guns and old shields and everything like they were nothing, just being like, "Oh, well, this one doesn't have the right anointment on it, so I'll just sell it for like a couple dollars, and then let me farm this boss again for like 3 hours. Oh, cool, I've got all the right anointments. Now I'm overpowered. Now what do I do? Oh, I'm bored. Let me play another character. Oh, I'll just put all my like current guns into the like player shared stash thing." And then just play the exact same way with this different character because the anointments do everything. Like it's just gotten really boring, and I sure it could be like nostalgia because I spent so much time on Borderlands 2 as a kid, but it really doesn't feel like Borderlands anymore, and I'm not excited. I thought I'd be really excited. I thought I'd want to pre-order it right away because it's Borderlands, and that's like my favorite game up there with like Fallout New Vegas. But like I'm not. I'm just not even sure if I'm gonna buy the game. I will probably watch somebody else play it, and maybe it's just a trailer that they very poorly put together, and I'm putting too much thought into that. But even seeing like Randy's reactions to people's tweets, saying like, "Oh, this doesn't look good. I'm worried about this," and he's like threatening to block them. Like, just the way he's reacting there, it's making me very concerned. I'm like, well, if anybody's like actually proud of and has faith in what they're doing, they wouldn't react that way. So I feel like the game's gonna be bad, and I feel like if this game is bad, that's it. Borderlands is done, and I don't want Borderlands to be done. I really like the game, and I thought it'd be cool. You know, I'm almost 25 now, and I thought it'd be cool, you know, show my kids the new Borderlands game and be like, "Oh yeah, you like that game? This is what your dad played when he was like a kid." That'd be so cool. You know how many people would like really get to do that? Maybe like with Mario or something or Pokemon maybe. But even then, like the newer games aren't really that great. I heard the new Mario game's not bad, but like that'd be cool to like pass on this franchise to somebody, you know, that I liked as a kid and they can enjoy it as a kid. That'd be really cool, but as it's going right now, I'm not sure Borderlands is gonna go much farther. It might be it might become one of those IPs that just are dead, you know? And I don't know. I'm I'm kind of I'm kind of losing my love for Borderlands right now, and I don't like that. I want to be hopeful and I want this to be good, but I'm not seeing anything that really indicates that it will be. I've watched a few videos for other people that are like going, "Oh, that looks cool. That looks cool." But it's people like Jolt's dude or like not Jolt's dude actually. He kind of had a reasonable take on it. More like Killer 6. He seemed like really interested in it, but I feel like that's just him as somebody who's played the game so much and does it for a living that they're like, "Oh, here's more things I can make content out of more than like a Borderlands fan excited for a new game." And I don't know if that's fair for me to say, but that's just how I come across it. But lately, a lot of the things I've been adding are just less and less Borderlands. I don't like the additional skill trees that you're putting in for certain things. I'm not liking this overcomplication. I'd rather the complicated thing be like, oh, I want to use this weapon with this weapon with this weapon with this weapon because I can use the grog nozzle for this, and this gun's really like the slag is really good for applying slag, and then I want to have like a rocket to do like big bursts of damage, and then I'll have this gun as my main gun because it does really decent damage and like it's got a lot of ammo and it shoots fast, so I can do it in between while getting ammo for like my rocket launcher, waiting for my skills to go. I like that gameplay loop. I'm not a fan of like, oh, let me slot this and this, and then use these anointeds, and then let me do this. It's too complicated, and it's not Borderlands. It feels like just every other game, and that's not why I liked Borderlands. I liked Borderlands because it was so different. It had such a good story. It had all these unique and very cool weapons that like you could synergize the damage of like the Unkempt Herald, and then oh let me use a Slagger to like slag an enemy so I do even more damage to the Unkempt Herald, and let me use this enemy to do the crowd control. Here I'll use that ability. I like that. That was cool. And even in Borderlands 2, you didn't have to use like the meta stuff. You can use this like dumb gun, like, oh, the sword explosion, that gun's cool, but it's not great for damage. But oh, I really like it. Let me use it. I'll pair with these other guns, and I might not be doing optimal damage, but it's good. Borderlands 3 gets a little difficult. Like, if you're not using like the best stuff at the highest OP levels, you're kind of getting destroyed. Borderlands 2, you could get away with using like a silly weapon and just playing the game how you want to play, and that's what I like. I don't like having to use these like meta, just random lame stuff and be like, oh, well, it's not fun, but like it gives me the stats that I need to succeed. And I'm seeing that more and more in Borderlands 3, and I hope that's not in Borderlands 4. And I've been yapping way, way too much, but yeah, that I'm not hopeful for Borderlands 4, and I feel like this might be it for Borderlands if it's not good, and I hope it's not true. See ya.